Hello, Cancer. How are you? Welcome to or welcome back to Marion K Tarot and your general reading for April 2025. It's been a lot, hasn't it? So, what we're doing, I reckon, Cancer, right? You're going to love these, right? Love, love. They are the little um Sacred Connection deck, and it's the love quotes one or the love question one, right? And I'm going to show you this because I reckon you will like this, right? So this is this, and it is like this, and it's very pretty. And you're the only sign that I've showed this to, so you get a deck for yourself, like pondering questions, and then a deck for friends and friendships, and then as I say, this one for love. So if you're looking for something a wee bit different, then it's very pretty. It is by Dreamy Moons. So if you go online and look for Dreamy Moons, it's an Australian female owned business, small business. So yeah, have a check out if you like. And it's no sponsored or anything, it's just that I'm just sharing the joy with you. Okay, so let's see what questions they're going to ask of us. This one's jumped out, so we're going to go for this. So, oh my goodness, right, this is such a Cancerian question. So it is. Do you think we met by chance or by fate? So have a ponder about that, Cancer, and bear in mind it could be a romantic partner, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a romantic partner. You know, it can be a friend. You know, it could be me. You know, maybe you're watching this and it's like, did I come across Marion by chance, or was it fate? Was I fated to hear Marion's messages? So have a wee ponder about that. And I think, that's a really interesting um question, or an interesting thing to think about, because it's like we go along in life and we come into contact with so many different people, and even the shortest interaction can have such an impact on our lives. It's like, think about, you maybe in a shop or something, and somebody randomly gives you a compliment. They're like, "Oh, I really like your bag," or "Oh, that's a really nice outfit," or "I like your glasses," something like that. And it can totally change your mood, and you're like, "Oh, thanks very much," or just something kind that somebody says to you. Um, it can make all the difference. There's there's a situation, I remember, like, back in, like, a number of years ago. I gave somebody a reading, and they weren't going to get a reading. They'd no intention that day, but they seen me. I was at a market, and it wasn't a witchy market. It was like a market with just random things, and I had a stall there, and they came and get a reading from me, and they said at the end of it, that it had really changed their perspective, and they felt so much better about things than what they had started off that day. So it's like, was that fate, or was that destined, or was it just a chance encounter, or is fate and chance the same thing? Just by a different name. Who knows? All these big questions, Cancer. So the reading proper, we are using the Crow Tarot this month. It's it speaks to me, and I use this deck quite often for myself. But it called to me from across the office, so this is what we're using. So 3 cards for Cancer 2025, please. April 25. Terrifying how quickly this year's getting. April 2025. Okay, we have got the King of Cups, the Three of Swords, and the Five of Swords. Oh, well then. Isn't this a pickle? And then at the bottom of the deck, we have got the Five of Cups. Woofed. All right, Cancer. Okay, so what is my opening gambit? I love that expression. The quintessentially English upper class expression, I feel, sounds like Mr. Darcy should be saying it. What is my opening gambit? Anyway, what am I going on about? Seriously. Um right, let's just address the elephant in the room. Okay. These cards, they are without question challenging. Okay. We're not really going to sugarcoat this because it's, first of all, you wouldn't expect me to sugarcoat it, Cancer, and second of all, I would not do you the disservice of sugarcoating it, because at the end of the day, the reality is that the tarot represents life, and sometimes in life there are harder times than others, and this month coming April seems to be suggesting that there is some difficulties going on. And I'm so sorry, I keep calling this card the Five of Cups. It's the Six of Cups. Okay. For some reason I just want to call it the five, and it isn't. I can read my Roman numerals, Cancer. But this card just came up quite often for the other signs. Quite a few. In fact, I think there is at least one sign for each element where this card has come up. So I think there seems to be a kind of general consensus, in April where we're we're kind of looking at the past. There might be some things from the past coming up, which does make sense because we're still in the Venus retrograde, and we are at this point of recording this. We're in the Mercury retrograde, so that brings up a lot of things, and it has been, these two retrogrades have been transiting Aries, which squares you on the astrological wheel, which is a challenging aspect. What could have come up as things that have things that you thought were dealt with, Cancer. That's what it feels like. Things that you believed were already dealt with. Now, whether that is with other people or if that is with yourself, your own internal monologue, or how you relate to other people, how people relate to you or how you relate to others. Everything's getting called into question, and this is big, deep emotions because we do have the King of Cups here. So that's Scorpio energy. And I do like that the King of Cups has showed up for you, Cancer, because it's like, I remember seeing once this meme, and it was like three people, and there was four people in it, and there was one person like going to like start a fight, and then there was two people cowering behind another person at the front, and it was like one said, the person looking like they were doing the attacking was like attacker, and then it was like the person defending the other two people was Scorpio, and then behind that was Cancer and Pisces, like, so being defended by Scorpio. And I think that is, for some reason, that has just come into my head really strongly. So if you have got a Scorpio in your life who is like, you see them as a defender, like a person who defends you emotionally or like in any other way, I think the dynamic between you and them this month is getting highlighted. It's like, where do you like kind of play your part in it? It could be that there's a bit of difficulty and tension between in that relationship. And again, whether that is romantic or whether that is platonic, family orientated, it does feel like there's just maybe a wee bit time where things have been strained with that particular relationship, and not necessarily like between the two of you, it could just be that there's something going on with that person, or there's something going on with you, and you really need to communicate. Because let's not forget the fact that these, yes, well, these are like probably two of the most difficult swords cards, the 3 and the 5. Swords do represent communication, or thoughts, methods of communication. The 3 of swords is a card of Libra, the 5 of swords is a card of Aquarius, so it's like that, right literally at the heart of this reading in this month, Cancer. There is this need and wanting to have a conversation. It feels like, so here's the thing, that I know this is going to be really quite specific just for some people, but this is what's coming through. If I was reading these cards, say for an individual, right, I would suggest that there is an individual in your life, and they're a very important individual, right? It's the King of Cups, it isn't just like a page or like a minor arcana that's being represented here. It's a king, so it's somebody who is front and center in your life, in your like surroundings. And this month, it feels like there'll be some difficult conversations taking place, difficult methods of communication. S- There's going to be like a kind of emotional strain on the communications, but what I would advise you is that to do it, to have the conversations, to have the difficult conversations before it's no longer possible. Whether that person's maybe moving away, they're leaving, um, it just feels like this is your time to have that conversation, to have those conversations. And it does feel like a series of conversations, you know. Unfortunately, maybe some of you are dealing with people who don't necessarily have a long time, left on the earth plane. Um, so it's like, consider the conversations that if you don't have them now, you'll maybe regret. Is what I'm trying to say. Um, and feel, as long as you can feel, if you're in that situation, I'm so very sorry. Um, but make the most of the time that you've got. Have the difficult conversations, and speak with love and kindness, is what I'm trying to say, Cancer. Which you will anyway, do you know what I mean? Because you're a deeply, deeply compassionate sign. And the strength is in your compassion, and your humanity, and your humility. And don't, try your best not to be afraid. Um things there's a lot of memories here tied up in this situation, and I think that's where the six of cups is. It's Scorpio energy, it's Scorpio here. um so it is, it's all about heart and mind, I would say, this month, Cancer. um just really, really being intentional with the people, with the things that you're seeing, with the people you're exposed to, with the situations you're exposed to, heart and mind. And the fusing of those two parts of yourself, and maybe teaching others how to do the same. That's what it feels like. If there's some of you sitting here thinking like, what? Huh? I don't think there will be, because I generally find that, the people who are meant to hear the reading, they find it, and it's relevant to them. If this is like a work situation, because there is going to be some challenging stuff going on with the sign of Cancer, because You know, Neptune has just moved into Aries, so I spoke about it briefly, you know, previously. So that's going to be squaring up against you, and it's challenging. It can be invigorating. It can also it's going to shake up what's going on. You know, this situation, it might relate to, I mean, it might even relate to some of you with regards to animals, you know, maybe some pets that you've got in your life. There is going to be this kind of a feeling of this strange reality, you know, because we're moving out of this kind of dreamscape. We Neptune having been in Pisces since 2011, and it's now moved into um Aries. You know, be an Aries until October, then it'll kind of flip flop and then eventually permanently stay in Aries in 2026. But at the moment, this is just like the wee kind of a preview of what's to come. And it's a generational planet because it takes so long to move through each sign. So this is going to be a long transit, a long drawn out one, but everything is there to help us grow, to help us adjust to things, you know, and it's very slow. So it'll be a very slow, gradual process. It's not just going to come running in. But you know, the phrase that I keep hearing like other astrologers talking about with the ingress of Neptune into Aries is the descriptor of it being a spiritual warrior, you know. And I think that's where you play your role so well, Cancer. You know, it's like you have got the spirituality, but you've also got the emotional intelligence that's required for this. And it's a beautiful thing. So lots to consider this month, Cancer. Um, but you can do it. I absolutely know you can. You know, you can move through this with grace and poise like you always do. Um, and you hold the rest of us, you know, you hold the rest of the zodiac and your arms. You know, you're like the zodiac's mother energy. So have a good month. Okay. Lots of love, my darlings. Take care. Bye bye.